This is Moria, the largest refugee camp in Europe. 20,000 people crammed into a facility built for 3,000, a temporary settlement that has taken on an air of permanence. In 2016, the people of Lesbos were nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. When we came here at the height of the migration crisis, we saw why. Instead of fear or resentment, we witnessed hospitality as locals welcomed hundreds of thousands of refugees onto their small island. Today, the mood is darker. Dwarfed by the nearby camp that bears its name, the little village of Moria has turned in on itself. Streets that were once full of newcomers are now half empty. Locals say they feel abandoned and afraid. We've been wandering around this village and absolutely no one will talk to us on camera. That's quite unusual in my experience of Greece. But the people we've spoken to off camera have said quite a few interesting things. Firstly, they all remember 5 years ago, 2015, when this all started. They say we welcomed them with open arms, we gave them food, we gave them clothing, we gave them shelter. Even when there were instances of stealing, we understood they'd come from a war zone, we made allowances. But now, they say, the mood is changing. Many people are losing patience. Some people are losing sympathy. And one guy that I spoke to said this town is actually divided on this issue. Some people still want to help the refugees and migrants, but others have basically had enough. And there are a few, he said, who are willing to use violence to try to get rid of them. And he said this is actually quite a dangerous moment. In Moria, migrants outnumber the villagers by a factor of 10. Most have been here for months, some for years. Frustration has been growing on both sides. But in the past few days, some locals have been setting up impromptu roadblocks to try to stop the migrants from entering their village. Omidullah from Afghanistan faced an angry group of locals earlier this week. How many of them were there?
About more than 17, 18 people. 80 people, 80. 80 people, yeah, right. 80. I saw some guys punch some people, and also they had metal and also wood.
You mean iron bars and sticks?
Yeah.
Vigilantes have also been targeting aid workers, whom they blame for encouraging more migrants to come. Many agencies have pulled staff out because of threats and attacks.
No doctor, no doctor.
Why are there no doctors?
Because they are afraid, because of the situation of here. Most of NGOs closed because of these situations.
So we found this group of locals here who've lit a fire, and they say they're trying to protect their village from the camp, which is just over here, and from the inhabitants of the camp. They say they've had enough of the refugees and migrants coming in. They're not that keen to talk, but we've met somebody who says she'll talk to us. The woman's name is Fotini, and after 5 years, she feels abandoned by her government and by the rest of Europe.
They have forgotten us. We are very, very angry. When this will be finished? When? Never.
So you decided a month ago, enough.
We will not go from here. They have destroyed our lives. They have destroyed our lives. We can't live, we can't walk, we can't laugh, we can't play.
Why not?
Why not? Because our children and us are frightened.
But now we hear that through some of these roadblocks, doctors and medics have been threatened and have left the island. That can't be right.
Of course it's not right, but I told you before that both sides are frightened, and them and us. We want to help, of course, but enough.
The anxieties on the barricade at Moria are a gift to the international far right. Tonight it emerged that members of a group classified in Germany as an extreme right-wing organisation have visited Lesbos in recent days. As night settled in, a local politician visited the Moria barricade. Tempers flared. Again, they asked us not to film. But he agreed to talk to us afterwards. They're sort of taking the law into their own hands in some ways.
They shouldn't. They shouldn't. That's what I was saying 5 minutes ago, that the people should keep calm and should try to convince the politicians, convince the state that things have to change. They cannot continue like this, but they should not take the law into their hands.
But some people worry, including people here, that people on the far right will use this to try to make their political gains. Yes. Are you worried about the rise of the right?
Very worried, because I know that many times, many countries, the extreme right take profit out of these situations. That's why I don't want this, so that I will come every day here, I will talk to them and to get them calm.
If this situation continues, then what will happen?
That will be catastrophic. It has to stop. And it cannot stop by force, it cannot stop by navy. Only it can stop with agreements, with talks between the European Union, with Turkey.
The Greek Coast Guard has been taking increasingly aggressive measures. Only one dinghy made it across this week. Men, women and children have been left to camp out on the beach. It's not just the locals in Moria who've been abandoned, the migrants have too. This whole island has become a problem the rest of Europe would rather forget about.